Let's begin.
Here we go! Hi, everybody!
Start the insanity.
You are not worried, are you?
Me? No.
We're waiting.
Hello, welcome to Super Media All Stars. We are a weekly podcast, and today we are talking about movies. I'm your host, John Harris, and today I'm joined by three other All Stars. First one being Jake Boston.
I'm in love with the Coco. Or am I?
Anthony Borich.
Dun, dun, na, 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 na. Go, Pack, go!
And Brent Harris.
Christopher, you seen my tweezers? Boy, you better not have my tweezers. Mama needs her tweezers. I got one of them things up in my feet again. I knew a tweezer to get them on out.
I think that's the same as your restaurant order voice.
No,
That's how you pitch.
she was more larger.
Your heavier impressions tend to sound the same.
I need a better quarter pounder with cheese
Okay,
and
yeah, she sounds a little heavier.
number two.
Welcome, everybody, to Super Media All Stars. We got a great show for you today. We all just got done seeing Coco straight out of the movie theaters. We're going to show our impressions there. A lot of good things in the news. And then we're going to play a Pixar trivia game at the end. So be excited for that. But guys, how you doing?
Doing pretty good.
I'm doing awesome. You guys just came back from Wisconsin, and you brought me back some spotted cow.
Oh,
yeah, we did.
Oh, I love it when it hits my lips. That's great.
It's the motherland. The beer's better. The football's better.
Yeah.
Good cheese.
Cool place.
Oh, that's good.
It's been about a week since we talked movies. How are anything good that brought you back from Justice League a week ago?
Another SNL episode.
SNL later.
SNL later?
Another episode of SNL later.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I was getting at.
Got Chance the Rapper with Eminem.
Was Chance the Rapper the host?
Yeah, he was.
How's that?
He was actually pretty decent.
Was he?
I liked him, yeah. Kind of reminded me of when Bruno Mars hosted like 3 years ago. He was surprisingly good.
I know you just trivia'd me on this, but I actually watched Plane, Trains, and Automobiles for my Thanksgiving tradition.
Of course you did.
It was fantastic.
Turns 30 years old this week.
Doesn't hold up as well.
I don't think so either.
You watched it, a year ago?
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
great.
Mm-hmm. I think we're in the minority, though.
I agreed.
It's considered a classic, but the comedy to me just didn't hold up.
Agreed.
Oh, the documentary, it's called Too Funny to Fail. It's about the Dana Carvey show. It's on Hulu exclusive.
Yeah.
Like, I had no idea. It was a skit show that was on ABC for one season, and it had, like, the starting careers of Stephen Colbert and Steve Carell
Oh, really?
and Dana Carvey. It was, yeah. And there was a writer, the guy who does Triumph. He was a writer on that show.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I've never even heard of that show. So watching the documentary, it was like a news to me that all this stuff happened. And yeah, fun watch if you need to watch something funny and
Also-
sad.
Was that also like a cool behind-the-scenes look kind of thing?
Yeah, very much so.
That's awesome. I enjoy those. So
Me too.
You've got a friend in me. You've got a friend
all right.
in
That being
me.
said, guys, let's go ahead and jump into the news. Not much has gone since last week, but a few things we're going to discuss. The first one being, it's going to kind of be a Pixar-related episode, and our first news story is Pixar-related. Rashida Jones and Will McCormack are out of Toy Story 4. They were co-writers on what I assume is the story/script of this film, and they dropped out over, I guess you want to call it, cultural differences, kind of going on with the theme lately of what's going on in Hollywood. I guess to paraphrase it, statements were regarding marginalizing women and people of color. Guys, these stories keep coming out. Now it affects Pixar. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, it's just weird. And they came out like a day before John Lasseter was outed, or he took a sabbatical for 6 months. But
That's messed up.
Hollywood Reporter had a piece about it, and he's doing some woman touching that he shouldn't be.
That's so messed up.
Yeah, like everybody is doing bad shit. It's really gross.
I think it just gets worse when there's a connotation that he's tied to kids' films.
Yeah, if
That
he's
just does not rub me the right way.
the head of Disney Animation is doing weird stuff to women. That's just gross.
Yeah, and very disturbing thought. To Rashida Jones and Will McCormack, they had never been onto a Toy Story project beforehand, and I think this is the first time they're being plugged for Toy Story 4. I don't see this making a huge difference.
I don't either. It's just them kind of like causing a stink.
I mean, already a sticky situation.
Yeah, like it's weird. I don't know if they needed to go. I guess I can see both ways. Like this doesn't look good for Toy Story 4, but it also doesn't look good for Pixar in total. But if it's happening, like this information needs to be released.
Right.
It's just weird. I don't want to hear this coming out of Pixar, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
That and like I don't think you're going to see, far as talent wise, as co-writers, you're not going to see a huge difference that Toy Story 4 turns out to be.
I don't think so either. They have like dozens of writers helping to work on this thing. So 2 of them decide to go away for creative differences, then yeah.
All right, our next story is related to Disney Star Wars, and that Variety is reporting that Last Jedi is anticipated to earn $200 million opening weekend. To put this in retrospect, that would be the highest for 2017, but the middle ground as far as a Star Wars film and more recent.
I was going to say the newer Star Wars films.
Correct.
Which makes sense because Force Awakens was the first new Star Wars in forever. So people were excited to go see it.
Right.
But Rogue One, nobody really cared too much about because it wasn't like a episodic film.
Right.
Or it wasn't one of the main storylines.
Right.
It was an
No,
episodic
you're right.
film.
For not being episodic, though, it still did fairly well. I think it pulled like 100 and... I wrote down 155 million.
Yeah, you want to know why it did well?
Why?
Because it's about fucking Star Wars.
Yeah, that's true.
Anything Star
Wars
related is going
is
to be
attached to
mine.
it. This is an easy hit.
Yeah, I think it'll definitely do closer to Force Awakens numbers than Rogue One numbers. I
Really?
think so.
Oh.
The only thing that's kind of giving me a hindrance on that is the whole Battlefield 2 situation. Like, if that's leaving a bad taste in people's mouths with the Star Wars brand. I hope it doesn't, but
I don't think
it
so.
might.
I just don't think it's gonna be as good. I don't think it's gonna be as good, and I don't think it's gonna do as well as Force Awakens. I think it'll be 190-ish.
Well, I
Oh,
think...
that's still pretty good.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah, but if you're talking about far as critic-wise or just fan-wise, I think The Last Jedi will be one of those films, just like Force Awakens. You walked away from Force Awakens blown away, but over time, Force Awakens just kind of, I don't know, settled with me, not in the best taste.
I don't know. I love that movie.
I love Force Awakens. I think this one's going to be better. I love Ryan Johnson. What? And if this is... Ryan Johnson has done nothing but good films, in my opinion. And this middle, he said, is going to be like super dark. I'm ready to see this movie. I'm very excited.
Yeah, we'll appreciate that, but I don't think the majority of people will.
I bet they do. Because I think Force Awakens left too much of a stereotypical Star Wars feeling to people who wanted something new. Like Star Wars Force Awakens is almost a direct adaptation of Star Wars 1.
Yeah, it was a rehash of A New Hope, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
As long as this is not like a rehash of The Empire Strikes Back, which is a good movie on its own merit.
I swear to God, there's any type of spherical battleship or planet or anything like that.
I don't think there will be.
No.
He's so pissed.
What if there's a cliffhanger, though, like The Empire Strikes Back? Is that going to make you mad?
I'd be okay with that.
Does someone look up at the
because
sky?
they still need to bring in 9.
But what if Finn gets it frozen in carbonate?
That's
be
fine.
terrible.
They won't push it that far.
Okay, I hope not. So just to recap real quick, Force Awakens opened at $248 million. The Last Jedi is predicted at 200. Rogue One was 155.
Well, what the biggest opening this year I think was Guardians 2, and that was at like 168. No, Beauty and the Beast. Beauty and the Beast was like 190. It was Beauty and the
177, something like that.
Beauty and the Beast was 190.
Yeah,
good.
it was destructive.
Beast. It made over $500 million just in the U.S.
So Disney's making money this year again.
There's really
Yeah,
no
we
surprise.
knew that.
All right, so we'll see how The Last Jedi turns out here in probably 2 or 3 weeks. I'm excited for that. All right, Jake, you already kind of hit on this, but Justice League, to no surprise, despite our greatest efforts, underwhelmed at the box office last weekend. Opened to $93 million opening weekend. It's currently sitting at 171, but it was projected for like 110, I think is what we said.
110 to 120, yeah.
Who won that bet? Who was the closest?
I went 100 and some. It's not me.
I think I did. I said it's going to open to $1 million fewer than Wonder Woman.
Without
Which
going
was
over?
104. Yeah, I think I said 103.
I said either 85 or 90.
So you might have won.
I think I said 85 and you said 90.
I said 90.
Oh, so you won then.
Ding, 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 ding,
I took
ding.
the high.
wait.
I took the high.
Why did you ask who won if you knew?
No, I
you said 90?
couldn't remember.
No, because he wants to know, like, oh, yeah, I won.
Yeah,
didn't I?
yeah. Oh, I won. Ding, 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 ding.
I'm just saying that's the second movie bet we've taken out of one. Just throwing it
Yeah,
out
because
there.
you go last and then you go in between.
I was not far. If it would have made just a little bit more, I would have got it for not going
If we were
over.
playing not Price is Right rules, Jake would have won.
I would have won. I said 85.
It pulled in 90. Oh, yeah. 93.
Yeah, if you said 90, then
Oh,
you
yeah.
won.
Yeah, if you stop marginalizing.
Oops, sorry, I won again.
I did win. We're going to do
in
this
your
for Star
notes.
Wars.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah, we'll do it for Star Wars next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yep.
you're going first, bitch.
That's fine. Okay.
I was ranking
I was under pressure because I had to go first. That's why the reason to get right.
Anyway, going back to Justice League and how it performed, it was the worst DC cinematic movie so far.
It keeps on going
weekend.
down. It keeps on going down and down.
It's,
I think
it's
I'm
getting
gonna
worse.
wait till it comes out on DVD.
I don't even know if I want this to make its money back, to be honest.
I do.
It won't.
No.
There's no way. Just the film alone without marketing cost $300 million.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's funny because there's no actual quote out there yet saying how much this cost.
I feel like they should learn their lesson from this. And this is why I don't want them to make their money back.
So I got some numbers here.
I was going to say, it is doing pretty well overseas.
It is. And this, just to give you guys some kind of context here. Man of Steel was the first reboot of kind of the DC movie.
Yeah.
Opening weekend was 116. Batman vs. Superman, opening week was 166. Really good.
Huge.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the first time Batman and Superman were on the screen together.
Yeah, that was a huge failure, disappointment,
But
critic-wise.
It makes sense why it earned a lot the first weekend, though.
Yeah, because people didn't know.
Yep.
Suicide Squad opened at 133 million, which was another kind of test the waters with DC that
Because they hyped it up correctly.
Right.
They did a good job hyping it up, but then it
Only
was a big flop.
33 million less than Batman vs Superman. That's great.
Because that one had a mixed word of mouth, but it had enough people interested that they kept on going week in, week out.
Right.
Right.
That movie had legs for
true.
sure.
and it had a solid cast to back up. Plus,
Yeah.
like the Margaret Robbie hype was
And
off the
Joker.
roof. And yeah, Joker was experimental at that point.
Don't forget Will Smith.
And Will
Unsung
Smith.
Heroes,
And Will
Suicide
Smith.
Squad.
And then probably the most critically reviewed, positively, but least performed was Wonder Woman. Opening weekend was only like 103 million.
Yeah, but that had way more legs than even Suicide Squad did.
Yeah.
For opening up in June, that sucker still did pretty well like the next 6 weeks out.
Right. And then we get to Justice League that pulled 93 million. So based off opening weekend numbers, it's not looking too great for the DCU universe.
Which is fine.
Yeah, and not to spoil anything we're going to say afterwards, but the next weekend, or this weekend right now, its second weekend out, isn't looking too hot either.
No, it's not. Yeah. And unfortunately, the critics aren't helping it either, which is well deserved. I mean, we had our own 2 cents on it last week. Check out our episode there if you want to hear our thoughts on that.
I stand by my 3 out of 5. I'll be okay owning this on Steelbook.
Like Jake said earlier, it's doing just fine across seas. Would probably help this bounce back to some degree. Maybe not its entire budget, but enough to make the studio happy. All right, and then some other movies that came out this weekend were The Darkest Hour, which is like supposed to be really good.
What is that?
That's the Churchill movie, Winston Churchill, but it has
yeah.
it has Gary Oldman.
Yep.
Yeah, it looks like a good one. People are loving it.
Old people are going to love that movie.
Well, Brent, you're a history buff. You should
Yeah.
love this.
No, I'm going to go see it.
and
for
you're
sure.
old. And the other movie that came out this weekend, we're going to jump to next. Before we can start talking about the actual movie itself, let's talk about the theater experience. It's been a while since I've been to this is a kids movie. And I forgot how it's an experience to go see a kids movies these days because I usually don't see movies with kids. That was part of the experience this time around. Not my favorite. There was kids crying, took some adjusting.
If you're going to bring your kids to a theater to go see a new kids movie, please wait a week.
Yeah.
Please. Don't
Yeah.
go see it opening weekend.
I was kind of scared to say something because you have a kid, and I don't know.
Yeah,
but,
I would know
but I
better.
mean,
Well, that and if your kid
on.
cries,
I
like,
mean, take them out of the theater.
people-
Don't just sit there while they're screaming.
There were 3 separate incidences to where kids were like losing their fucking minds, and the adults, the parents, would just keep them in the theater. Drove me nuts.
right. I don't know. I thought there was proper etiquette to a theater experience, but that was thrown out the door with Coco.
No, I've got a kid, so I am okay with saying this. Like, if your kid is being just a stupid ass, take him out of the theater.
But see, I wasn't going to go say something to that parent.
Oh, I gave him evil eyes. I totally did. I stared back there for a
Yeah.
good 10 seconds.
I
See-
stared back there too. That pisses me off. Like, I would never do that if I became a parent.
That's
One, I would never take my child, just be like, all right, I'm never seeing movies again unless I find a baby.
I thought proper etiquette was to walk out with your kid.
It
to,
is.
to settle it down.
Yeah.
No, in a perfect world, I think what I'm going to do with my kid, especially if she's like under the age of 5, I'm going to take her to the theater like a week or 2 out, so there's less people in the theater.
Sure, I totally get that.
Opening weekend, it's packed.
Right.
Especially to a Pixar film.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know why you'd be so inconsiderate.
Yeah.
Just baffles me.
And then to make things worse, the next part of the kids' theatrical version was the trailers.
The lights go down and the shit just keeps on piling up.
Oh, man.
We're hitting Jake's favorite January movies.
Yeah.
Oh man, they look pretty.
So, like I said, it's been a while
bad
since I've seen a
this
kids movie, so it's not too often I get to see kids trailers.
What trailer do you want to start with first?
Let's start with the first one that I didn't know deserves a sequel, and that's Paddington 2.
Okay,
What?
hold on. Paddington has like a 98 on Rotten Tomatoes, and I've
what?
never watched it, but I've heard nothing but good things. Like
That's
you need to watch
nuts.
this movie.
That is nuts.
I've never seen the first one, but like Anthony, I've heard nothing but good things, so I'm not going to shit on Paddington.
Okay, so the only thing I could think that I have, like I said, no context for Paddington 1 is that it's all British, so you know the acting will be better. Mm-hmm. But based off the trailer, it looks like not funny shenanigans.
It looks like Curious George.
But worse.
Like, why am I watching this?
There were way worse trailers, so I'm going to give Paddington a pass.
And then it gets worse. And then it gets worse because what we got, Sherlock Gnomes.
Yeah, so it's a sequel of Gnomeo and Juliet. Is Sherlock Gnome?
I don't even know that existed.
Yeah. That
Yeah, it was terrible.
That happened.
that had a whole bunch of Elton John songs in it, and this one has an original song by Elton John. I'm
Great.
surprised you didn't like this, John.
Sherlock
because
Gnomes?
It's got like a 15-second fart joke. And you love fart jokes.
I do,
You
but that
do.
was not funny.
Nope, it was painfully bad.
It
Yeah.
was.
And
I
like,
don't even remember the fart
No,
joke.
a
He
gnome.
jumps into the pool and like bubbles keep
Not
coming
even a
up, and he's
pool,
like,
just like a
"Oh,
mud."
no, it's a jacuzzi."
I smiled for that.
I looked at Anthony in disgust because it was so bad.
I didn't hear any kids laughing. No adults were laughing.
I did. There was.
You were laughing at yourself.
Well, okay, that's because I was making fun of it.
I
Well,
don't know.
let's just go ahead and continue on the crap train of trailers here. We get into Peter Rabbit, another animal come to life animation.
Okay, so Anthony has a big hatred for Kevin Hart. I
Yeah.
think my Kevin Hart is James Corden. I'm getting real sick of this guy.
Yeah.
He is in a lot of stuff lately.
He's in a lot of bad stuff, and he's just the late show host. Like, don't think too much of yourself, bud.
Well,
You're known for carpool karaoke. Like, shut the fuck up.
but now he's known for Peter Rabbit, which looks like another semi-British humor with animated animals. That's not funny.
I don't even remember the premise of this either.
The rabbits were in a real happy relationship with a
Oh,
girl,
yeah.
and then Don Paul Gleason came in. He's like, "Oh, you can't dig in my garden," but then
Yeah.
he really wants to dig into that girl's garden.
And the
like-
shenanigans ensue from there.
It's like the Chipmunks, Alvin and the Chipmunks, but
But
with
worse.
rabbits,
But worse.
with rabbits.
I wouldn't say worse. Alvin and the Chipmunks is awful.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see about this.
When the porcupine or the hedgehog lost all its quills, and then she's like, "Oh, don't look at me."
yeah,
yeah.
we didn't talk about Sherlock Gnomes and that thong gnome.
Oh, yeah, that was bad.
So bad.
shaking his butt. And
that was like, how's that a kid appropriate? Just
And they
about
did it
just-
with Minions.
It's funny because it's got a butt. Anything butt related, kids will laugh at.
That's right.
Let's go ahead and pat it on next with John Cena's.
Ferdinand.
Okay.
Oh,
So I
man.
do know the children's story behind this, and it for a kids movie, it looks kind of cute. I wish it wasn't John Cena, but
Nobody's going to go see it. It comes out in 2 weeks. I never heard about it.
It's weird they're selling this movie on John Cena. Like, he opened up the trailer like, "Oh yeah, go see this at Cinemark theaters." And then he opened up the trailer again like, "Yeah, I play Ferdinand. I relate to this character a lot." Like,
Yeah.
no one cares, John Cena.
Yeah.
Still.
But yeah, I know. It's from the people who made like Ice Age and a whole bunch of crappy movies.
Where he was like talking about, I relate so much to this character because everyone judges me from the outside. Don't judge a bull by his cover. Oh God.
That was awful. That was awful.
Well, I can't remember a single kid laughing during any of these trailers. I'm not sure if I was in my own world of anger, but not one kid was laughing around me. So,
your face was better during the short. We'll get into
Oh
that.
God, I didn't think I could get any more pissed.
I will say the one trailer that actually I've seen before and I was excited to see it again in theaters was the Incredibles 2 trailer.
Oh, yeah.
Like that was just a amount of time and it actually looked really
please
good.
be
Which
as
wasn't
good.
even really a trailer.
Right, it was just a quick, but please,
like a teaser.
we've waited so long for that movie.
That baby
Please
laugh.
be good.
Oh man, that was hilarious.
Yeah, no, I definitely want more. Like, this is the definition of a tease because it just showed the logo and then like a 10-second clip.
Yeah.
But that and like I just know the Incredibles theme and that theme kicked in for this little tidbit. So
Yeah.
good.
Yep.
Like that's how kids movies should be. Just like that.
That's the next Pixar movie. You got to wait till June.
Yep. So, and then before we jump into the actual Coco review, there was a Disney, what do you call it, tidbit?
It's a
Disney
Pixar
animation.
short.
No, it's not. Every Pixar movie usually comes with a Pixar short. This is the first one that's actually opened up with a Disney short.
Yeah.
That's right.
And that just right out of the park made me mad. But continue, everybody.
Because it wasn't long enough to be a movie, but I mean, it's a addition onto everyone's favorite Frozen.
Did not feel like a 20-minute Disney Channel plug.
Olaf's Frozen Adventure. That's what it's called.
Olaf takes a frozen turd is what it should have been called.
If this was
It
the
was
original,
pretty
if that was
bad.
Josh Gad again, and if that's how bad he sounded in Frozen 1, oh man, I don't remember it being that bad.
Everybody from the first
I thought
one's
you
back in this.
you've watched Frozen, right?
Once, and that was good enough.
Like I was bored. I was looking at John constantly because like every song I was like, there's only twice. This is only makes twice in my life. I wanted to walk out of movie theater.
I thought during the Frozen thing, I'm like, okay, it's gonna be like a 5-minute bit. It felt like 15 to 20 minutes.
It was probably 10 to 15 minutes.
It
and
was
it
too
felt
long.
way too long.
It was painful, but the best part of that whole thing was watching John's face when they started like they sang like 8 songs during that, and John like after the 4th song lost all smile.
I wanted
he was
Olaf-
starting to get pissed.
I wanted Olaf dead.
Yeah, he was yelling at the movie at the screen. Good, you just killed him. Why don't you sit down?
They started like forcing songs in too. Like they would go mid sentence and then start
Right.
singing.
Yeah.
They in this
was too
15
much.
in this 15-minute short, they probably sang at least 7 songs.
If that's what the talent for Frozen's gonna be like, leave Frozen where it's at. You don't need a sequel to that movie.
This just tells me this is like the definition of commercialism.
Yeah.
Because like they just wanted more Frozen because the first one was a hit. Like, oh, we'll put a 15-minute short in front of our new Pixar movie. We got to do that. Kids love Olaf.
Which is funny. They've changed it twice. I knew about this going into it. I told Jake, "Oh, here comes the Frozen short."
You got really excited.
Well,
that
yeah,
it was
because I
about
thought it was going to be
happen.
good, but they have changed the like plot of it like 2 or 3 times. Like it was supposed to be like a surprise party for Elsa, and they were getting the castle ready, and that was going to be the quick. But now they changed it to this Olaf trying to find a new tradition for Christmas.
As far as Disney, I don't call it comedic relief, Olaf has to be the worst I've seen because he is not funny. His voice is terrible. His animation is not good, and I didn't hear any kids laugh during this one.
But you liked him in Murder of the Orient Express?
I'd rather see him act in that regard, Josh Gad, not in voice animation.
See, I thought out of this entire 15-minute thing, he had the best song for sure.
Oh, and
It was the catchiest song.
There was no songs that were good.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I can't remember a single song. I was happy when he melted, and then he, for some reason, brought him back to life. I didn't get that part.
You obviously didn't watch the first Frozen.
And then he was
And there was no hat, so how's he alive?
Oh my god! Happy birthday!
See, I didn't mind the movie Frozen.
Yeah,
It was
it was a
fine.
good movie.
I remember seeing it in theaters and I liked it.
Yep.
But this short is like the worst example.
Oh, it was bad.
If
Like,
that's what
this is-
Frozen has for the future, though, like you gotta work that plot, man.
I know there's Frozen 2 in development right now. I'm very scared from this short.
Yeah, how bad it was. I know it's not their main talent behind this, but still, yikes.
No, every voice from the movie is in this short.
Yeah, but your writers are gonna be better. They can't be the Olaf staff.
I would fucking hope so. Because
Yeah.
this is just hot garbage.
Not only that, the whole premise was Olaf. Well, the starting premise was Olaf getting Christmas traditions, and then he burns them to the ground in the cannon.
no,
You
yeah.
didn't need to.
Yeah, like so the trailers were bad. This gets bad. They're putting way too many songs in this piece of shit short. And then to top it all off, they're like, "Oh, yeah, we found traditions. Hey, remember that thing we did a fucking year ago? I forgot about it. That's our tradition."
Well, that and like your traditions to build Olaf, the worst piece of shit snowman ever.
Well, and they show a whole bunch of Christmas stuff and then one Hanukkah tradition. They don't
Yeah.
show any Kwanzaa
Yeah,
stuff.
and don't they even say like shalom or something?
They sure
Or
do.
Kwanzaa? I don't know. It's just
Well, I was telling Jake before, like This is definitely before Frozen was definitely before Disney made a push to normalize their princesses and make them more realistic. Because Elsa and whoever the Frozen woman is, they look like Barbies. I kept looking at Frozen characters and compared to like Moana. Like, okay, that's only a slight jump as far as women realistically. Like those two are like old school fashion Disney princesses, and then you got Moana, who's still not like. I mean, she's more proportional to a real person, but not the drastic change that people are wanting. So,
Sure.
do they beef up Anna and Elsa for the sequel?
Nope.
Okay,
You got to
not
keep them
at all.
exactly
keep
the same.
them bulimic thin.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Little
good.
bit.
Little Disney old fashioned. All right, so putting aside our grief for the trailers and Frozen Olaf's turd, let's go ahead and get into the main portion of Coco. For the first part, it will be spoiler-free for a kid's movie, if you're interested in the plot and the ending, I guess.
No, it's a Pixar movie. We'll be spoiler free for this part.
for the beginning.
Yeah. Pixar movies you should take with higher regard than any other animated movie, in my opinion.
We left the theater about 2 hours ago, and how you feeling about it? Spoiler-free.
I'm feeling super positive about it.
I was too. This was a fun one.
I'm a big fan of this movie.
I had not seen any commercialism before Coco. I know it was about Day of the Dead. But that's about it. And I walked away pretty satisfied. I would admit the first half was a little slow for me, but it got to a good Pixar formula. It made me happy.
Yeah, it was just world building. I didn't
Yeah.
have a problem with it.
Not neither.
Okay. Brent?
Yeah, I am pretty much in the same boat. I didn't see any commercials for it. I just knew what you said about the Day of the Dead, and then when it starts to get into what the whole movie's about, I was like, oh, damn, okay, I'm in. What's going on here?
Yeah. So let's start by dissecting what we can of the story. We know the main character is a young boy named Miguel,
Yep.
and the whole I want to call it genre of this film is Day of the Dead, kind of Spanish culture holiday. It's a big holiday.
It's kind of about a boy's passion that the family doesn't want him to follow.
Right. And I don't think the trailers revealed too much of that.
No.
No, they did a good job.
Of like hiding like the overall themes here, which I was actually pretty impressed with. Compared to other Pixar films, this movie kind of goes to somewhere I did not expect it to go for a kids movie. And that you can dissect that as much as you want later in the spoiler section, but I was surprised. It was really good.
Yeah, but the death aspect has, like, it's not gonna be. Don't get scared by that just because it's death. Like it, there's nothing.
It handles
there's no
it
negative
maturely for a
connotation.
kid
does.
audience.
Oh, definitely. Like, I thought about that too when I saw the kids in there being scared of like
No.
skeletons, but they were
Nothing.
kind of animated.
Yeah,
Let's just say there's scarier stuff in Toy Story 3 than there is in Coco.
Yep.
For sure.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, like the Holocaust part in Toy Story 3 where all the
Yeah.
toys are going to get burned in the incinerator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's messed up.
Yeah, that's very
Yeah,
messed
I
up.
remember
Coco
that.
goes nowhere near that territory.
I don't think we can talk too much else about the story other than that, right?
It's kind of tough because the trailers didn't really show a lot, which I like.
Right. But we can talk about the cast.
Yeah.
Miguel is a good Pixar protagonist.
Yeah.
Young boy. There's a obstacle he has to overcome.
Yep.
A lot of lessons to be learned. And I think far as Pixar kind of pulling at different characters they can now, because they've done a lot of films. They've had a lot of main characters. Miguel, his own story was pretty good considering the other Pixar movies I've seen.
Yeah, it's actually something you can relate to. But
Well, that and like Miguel, I think represents a very good demographic of kids' concepts of how he perceives life and struggles that he have with family. I think it's a fair assumption that kids can relate to and stuff like that. I don't know, as far as the actor goes. I don't think his name. I don't remember for anything else. I think he's kind of a newbie.
I think it's just like what they did with Moana. They just did like a casting search of a whole bunch of kids and just picked the best kid. Because I've never heard of Anthony Gonzalez.
Yeah.
yeah,
So
you
But
can't
far
tell
as,
though.
far as-
That's good.
As far as voice acting, he sounded really good.
He was-
just like Moana, a nobody who is perfect for the role.
yeah.
This kid kind of looks like him.
There's a giant cast here,
An
but
American boy.
we're kind of going over the main characters here. And then our next big character that I don't think was revealed. Yeah, I think he's in the trailers, but I'm not sure if we know his name. But his name is Hector.
I don't even think he's in the trailers.
You don't think so?
No.
I don't remember seeing Hector.
Without going too much, Hector is another character we're introduced to in the Day of the Dead atmosphere.
Played by Gail Garcia Bernal.
Yep, never heard of him either.
He's been in a few things. I can't remember off the top of my head. I know this actor. I've seen him in other things. I just can't remember anything off the top of my head. Yeah.
Yeah, Hector is one of those characters in a Pixar film that starts off like you're not sure. You feel like there's something more to him, and there is something more to him, but I had no idea it was going in that direction. Do you guys have any idea? Did you guys get a sense of that from meeting Hector at first?
It's pretty common to do in animated films, but I thought it was predictable.
Yeah, when you first see him, he's like a bumbling goof.
Right.
Right. And obviously there's more to him, which it's kind of a Pixar archetype, I guess you could say at this point.
Yeah, like the first time you see him, he's dressed up as like a famous female.
Right. Mm-hmm. And then...
So he's just a fun character.
Right.
Right.
And he's trying to get over to the other side.
He's like
for the
Robin
Day of the
Williams
Dead.
and Mrs. Doubtfire.
I don't know if I go that. Maybe for like 30 seconds.
I don't know if
of
it's
this movie.
that bad.
I don't know.
The only character I knew as far as voice acting was Brat as Ernesto.
Benjamin Bratt. Yep.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange. That's where I know him best from.
He was in Doctor Strange?
Huh?
Oh no, as the guy who gets like fixed.
Jonathan, I'm trying to think.
Oh,
of
he's
his
been
name
in tons of other stuff.
Well, yeah, I
but he
mean,
is in
he's-
Doctor Strange.
Miss Congeniality.
Yeah.
Gross.
That's what I think that's what I know him from.
Oh, right. That just happened.
But there is a character named Ernesto, and he is like this Spanish idol of a singer who's long past dead.
He seems to be like the Elvis.
Yeah.
Yeah, a Spanish,
yeah,
very
most
nice,
definitely.
Spanish Elvis. And without going too much into him, his character was really good. I actually liked Ernesto.
I think of him as a male Selena.
Okay.
Wow.
So that's pretty much all we can talk about story and cast without going to spoilers. So one thing I think we can definitely talk about is animation. How far has Pixar come? How'd you guys like the animation in this film?
Holy fuck.
It looked really good.
So good.
Did it?
You didn't think so?
I thought it looked good, but I couldn't think it looked any better than any other Pixar film I've seen.
There are a couple things that I want to talk about. One non-spoiler, one spoiler. The non-spoiler, when they show like a wide shot of the entire city,
Yeah.
looked goddamn stunning.
And they talked about
Yeah.
that right before the
I
movie
talked about how they
started.
design it.
And
Yeah.
it looked great.
Crap ton of work that went into it.
Yeah, no, the animation looks good. I think doesn't Pixar always trying to up itself in the next movie as far as animation goes, or has Pixar reached its top max?
Well, I've seen some analysis of the Incredibles 2 trailer, and I didn't know this watching the trailer, but if you zoom in to Mr. Incredible's shirt,
Yeah.
you can see like the wool, like the little threads like sticking out of it. It looks amazing.
yeah,
So they always, of course, like technology-wise, they always got to up themselves just to make themselves better.
right. But I was thinking we talked about this at the movie theater. The last Pixar film I saw in theaters was maybe Up,
Okay.
and that was what 2009. It's been a while.
Something like that.
Yeah, and I remember Up thinking. I mean, I haven't seen Up in a while, but I remember Up looking like that, really, really good. Mm-hmm. And I guess you guys are probably more knowledgeable in this situation because what was the last Pixar movie you guys saw in theaters?
Inside Out. Well, I
No,
also
you
saw
saw Cars 3. You
which-
talk about Cars 3, but
yeah, Cars 3. I would say the animation's about the same. It looks really good. It was a shitty movie, but but no, it looked really good. No, you're right. You're never gonna watch a Pixar movie and say, "Man, that looked like crap."
And I saw Inside Out, but like a lot of that is imagination based. So like graphics wise, you don't really need
Yeah.
to look that great.
Right.
I mean, it looked fine, but yeah, you don't really see improvements that
I
much.
noticed a lot of small details that I appreciated a lot in this movie.
Well, when
Flower
it,
petals, like that was.
Yeah, that looked really good.
Yeah.
like when it got to some of the, I don't think it's a spoiler, but they have spirit animals.
That's the other thing that I was going to talk about.
Yeah.
I love the way that those creatures looked.
I did
They
too.
just
Great.
pop off the screen.
Well, because I think a point you can make was the very first half of the film is very rustic looking,
Sure.
color, and then when things become more vibrant in the Day of the Dead situation, the colors just take off, and then it looks immaculate.
The first time you see a spiritual animal, the big one,
Yeah.
it looked so cool. It looked like one of those like neon like felt paintings that I had as a kid. That just it looked 2D even on the screen, but when it was moving, just so amazing. Just neon popping all over the place. It looked like a mix between like an acid trip and like a Dave Frank painting. If you remember that.
Yeah.
Dave Frank, is that what I'm talking about?
I think
Lisa
you're right.
Frank. Lisa Frank.
One other comment I want to say about animation is I think Pixar character models tend to blend along the same lines as far as humanization goes. And I think the humanization to a cartoon degree looked really good in this one.
The girl who played Coco, oh my god.
Yeah,
she
like
looked like nobody else in the movie.
Yeah,
I'll
like,
just say that.
As far as elderly look goes,
Yeah.
immaculate work there. I would agree with
Yes.
that.
Like when I first saw her, I felt so bad and sad. Like you get super old and you like can't do anything.
It's like an old Mexican Palpatine.
There you go. That kind of works. All right, putting aside animation, there's a thing I want to point out and it's kind of talked about a little bit in the trailers, is music. What do you guys think of the music in Coco?
I liked it. Yeah, it was the Spanish American of what you would think of like a ballad.
It kind of threw me for a loop. Like I know, like for us to understand it, it has to be in English, but I just totally thought it should be in Spanish. Like me watching it the way it was, I kind of wanted just Spanish with subtitles.
Really?
But it just to get me more into the environment that I was in, just the setting of the world, just felt like I shouldn't be listening to this in English.
Some songs were completely in Spanish, but did that derive it for anybody? I don't think so. It sounded really
No.
good.
No, it just made me want like all of it in Spanish.
Sure.
For me, it was perfect. It was just enough because they always said like "papa" and like "gracias" and
There's a good mix of
Donata
like, it's definitely for an American audience.
Yeah, I felt like this is Spanish for dummies.
Good. Yeah, it has enough blend.
it's Pixar.
No, I know that's what I'm saying. Like I don't blame them for doing it. I just felt like I kind of wish they would have like been ballsy and like just went all Spanish. Like I know that they'll do this for different
Regions.
areas, different
Yeah.
regions.
Yeah, I
But
thought this is exactly what they were going for, and they nailed it.
I would argue for a demographic standpoint, as your audience does a good job of blending two languages together very well.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing against it. Like, I don't know. I'm not going to see a Pixar film if I have to read subtitles.
Or like there's a part where they have to go through customs where it's in Spanish, like Buenos Dias and
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Yeah,
like,
that's great.
Then why are they speaking English? Like it just doesn't make a lot of sense.
But getting back to the original point,
Sorry, that just bugged me.
whether the song is in English or Spanish, because we get both in this movie, I think we can all across the board and say it was really good as far as Disney songs go. And Coco did a good job of hitting those notes.
Music was very good in this movie. I'm just glad that like this type of culture is actually being presented from Pixar.
Yeah, that's
It's just
true,
got
too.
like a nice like spit shine to it.
Yeah, it looked really good.
Because I didn't know a lot about the Day of the Dead culture at all.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, granted, it's a kid's version of Day of the Dead, but
Yeah, so
from what we know, it seems like it feels pretty good.
Yeah, it simplifies it down for me. It being a kids movie.
Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and jump to the next portion. That is going to be the spoiler section of Coco.
Spoiler. Spoiler. Spoiler.
All right. All right, I'm going to do mine now.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Don't do it. You said it.
All right, all right.
Oh, that's pretty good.
It's like your little Star Wars.
Yeah,
Okay, that's
I told you I've been
way better.
practicing it.
Okay.
Are you a cat in heat?
A little
That's what it
bit.
sounded like to me.
What is Anthony if I'm a cat in heat?
Crow and Heat?
Yeah, you're that big ass crow from Little Nicky who just wants to fuck John Lovitz. That's you.
So if you haven't figured that out yet, listeners, that's our spoiler warning sounds, which we've gotten really deep into
Worse.
for some reason.
You've definitely been warned.
So if our thoughts seemed conjointed in the spoiler-free section, because there wasn't for much to talk about there, but we got a lot to say in the spoilers, which we are entering now. Guys, story. It's about Miguel. He loses kind of a connection with his family over music. And I felt like that's a good starting point for everything that takes off in this film. How'd you guys feel about the beginning premise of his family is very anti-music due to a history that's kind of misconjointed? Mm-hmm. And then the plot kind of takes off with him because he is really into music.
That's just like the standard go-to start for Disney, and it worked.
Still works.
Yeah.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
For Disney Pixar, I would argue.
Just like Disney in general.
Yeah,
really.
just-
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just your protagonist that, is pretty much one against a lot, or,
Yeah, but for one that's about music and Spanish culture and all these elements thrown together for what is your overall plot here, it turned out really good.
No, yeah, it
Yeah.
was good. I'm
Yep.
just saying it's the same skeleton.
Sure.
Same skeleton.
Oh.
Day of the Dead.
We learned from the very beginning premise that Miguel kind of holds this Ernesto, which is like like we said earlier, Spanish Elvis, or male Celine.
Selena?
Selena, as Jake calls him.
Wow.
And he wants to be a music. He wants to be a music idol, or well, he wants to get into music, but his family is very against it, and Miguel has a secret passion for music, and we get into a conflict where he wants to enter a contest, steals a guitar, and gets transported into this Day of the Dead world.
Yeah.
This kind
The
of
afterlife.
the afterlife, essentially.
I was really happy that he was just good at playing a guitar already, and there wasn't like a
Like
learning.
him practicing.
Yeah,
and learning.
I didn't want like a montage of him learning. Like I was just happy that he was good.
Yeah.
It was in his bones?
In his,
Skeleton?
it was in his
This
heritage.
is a recurring problem.
It's gonna have to be, I think. We started this. Well, I just like how like his gateway to get into the afterworld without even him knowing is touching a guitar that was in his family's bloodline and him just
Right.
like playing it.
Right.
And that got him into like the way like he didn't know where he was. He thought he was still in the real world, but like people were like walking through him and everything.
Yeah, when we first get to see the pretty much the skeletons of his ancestors of this whole Day of the Dead tradition,
I see what you did there, skeleton.
it was really good. Like you said earlier, the animations for the dead characters looked really good, and the premise of them passing over to the real world to pay respect to their families, which is a big part of Day of the Dead, worked really well.
Yeah, I really liked how like when he was in between like real world
Yeah.
and Day of the Dead world, like all of like everybody's family members
Was
were at the
melding.
gravesite. Yeah.
Right.
Just like taking the food that the families would give to them in the real world, the skeletons would take to the afterlife with them. Really cool stuff.
There's a scene where you see like a mom and a child, and then you see the two dead people, like the grandparents that are like holding each other and like, oh, look how big she is.
Yeah.
Like it's just great.
On a kid level, it works really well because like it handles death appropriately. But if you get very philosophical about life and death, like there's a lot to be diving in there too, and kids won't get to that level. But as far as like adult viewers, like I felt like it was really good and well handled.
That's why Pixar's the best.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't just make kids movies for kids.
Yeah.
Right, and it's not like I would argue from what I know that it's not paying any disrespect to that holiday, to that culture,
Nope.
culture, and to that just families in general and how people interpret death.
Yeah. I've read reviews of a couple Hispanic critics that have rated this movie, and they're like, finally, like this is done right on screen.
Oh, good.
Like it's taken like one of the reviewers I read is like 45 years old. Like it's taken like this long in order for like this heritage to actually be done right.
So then we get Miguel into the spiritual world, and he goes in there because he's trying to find Ernesto, his what he expects to be his grandfather. He's looking for a musical blessing, I guess, or an understanding of why no one in his family likes music.
Well, first off, the dog, like this random ass dog, street dog
Street
named
dog,
Pablo.
yep.
Pablo?
Dante.
Dante.
Sorry. A random street dog named Dante runs into their little shrine for the Day of the Dead and knocks over a picture. And in that picture, they see that there was a guitar
Yeah.
that was played by
Right.
the main Elvis
Because
Selena
his
guy.
head is
Ernesto.
His head is
Ernesto.
ripped off because
Yeah.
the story is told is that the great grandfather left their family to go
Play music.
play music and follow his dreams there.
Never
And
came
so
back.
that's why this family's been so against music is because
His great
grandfather gave up his entire family to go play music.
And you're led from the very get-go that it's supposed to be this Ernesto character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so what do you guys think? Shortly after he transfers into the Day of the Dead world, we meet his family members, but then we also meet Hector. And Hector is, like Jake said earlier, is this bumbly mess.
I mean, you definitely meet all the family members first, and they bring him over to like the gateway from all the flower petals
Right.
to the Day of the Dead. While they're walking through like the little like airport security scene, that's where you see Hector first off, and he's trying to go through the petals.
right, and he can't.
And he just can't, because we find out later on that's because like not a lot of people remember who he is.
Right. You have to have a picture up in this memorial for them to cross over.
It's a great
no
plot.
one had a picture of him.
It's a great plot premise, but it's also that gets really deep too, because with dealing with death, like you don't want to be forgotten. Like that,
Right.
Oh,
that
definitely not.
that kind of struck a thing with me. Like, man, that's a very morbid theme. But like, once again, Pixar's handling it very well. Pictures and it's about how people remember you. Mm-hmm. That's good stuff, man.
Yeah. And I feel like the Hispanic culture, especially with Day of the Dead, does that way better than like my heritage at all.
Right,
Like we just have grave sites.
Right.
They celebrate it
Right.
every year.
right.
It's pretty cool.
Once Miguel and Hector kind of meet up, The shenanigans kick on from there. We learn from some plot points that the best way to reach Ernesto is to enter a music contest. Jumping ahead here, we learn that there's more to Hector that meets the eye because he's really good with music. He's really good with the guitar.
He's also an Autobot.
Why is he an Autobot?
Because it's
John
more
said
that
there's-
meets the eye.
I'm sorry, I had to.
Did you?
I did.
No, you didn't have to.
I did.
So I think jumping ahead here to Ernesto's party. And we learn that Ernesto is not this idol that he's out to be. He stole lyrics. He's not Miguel's grandfather. He actually is a bad guy. The villain of the
He
film.
murdered the great grandfather.
Yeah,
but
which
because,
turns out to be Hector.
yeah.
I love that twist. I loved how dark it got. I love how we saw that scene earlier in the movie and it finally got like played back
Right.
to us.
Right.
That reveal was done so well.
Right. I feel like there's always some kind of reveal / twist to a Pixar film these days. That one still hit all the right notes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I saw it coming, and I was still like, all right, well done, Pixar.
Yeah, because originally he went to his great-great-grandfather, who he thought was Ernesto, to make
his
sure...
blessing.
Yeah, to get his blessing. He wanted his blessing in particular because his great-great-grandma wouldn't let him back to the real world without a stipulation of him never playing music again.
Right.
And of course, as like a teenage... He's going to do teenage angst. He wants to do whatever he wants. Doesn't want his family to control him. So he went to the musical side of his family to come back. And when Ernesto finally tried to bring him back, I noticed once he like gave him his blessing, the flower didn't glow. It was like a brief like second and a half, but the flower didn't glow. So I'm like, okay, something's weird.
Right. And it turns out like this Ernesto character is a dirtbag and he ends up being a villain. And then you learn after that scene that Hector and Miguel are family. And that Hector is the true grandparent of Miguel and also of all of Ernesto's success. Hector's the true songwriter who died from the murder, the poison.
And when the main character and Hector were at the singing competition,
Yeah, Miguel and Hector.
Yeah, and when Miguel wanted to sing "Remember Me," and Hector's like, "Oh, don't do that; it's overplayed."
Yep.
It kind of takes like a second meaning because he wrote "Remember Me" for Coco for his kid,
Right.
and even though like it is overplayed and it's the most popular song, there might be another reason why he didn't want to sing it.
Right, which ended up being a really good plot point.
Yeah,
Because without jumping too far ahead, we learned Miguel's family gets all his dead family in the afterlife here all come together on this final stage with Ernesto in a final confrontation. And pretty much they have till sunrise before Miguel has to get back to the real world or he stays in the Day of the Dead world. Hector and his ex, or I'm not even sure if they were married, ex-wife,
They were married.
were they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They reconnect. His whole family reconnects. Ernesto is revealed as this villain. And the final plot point is here that the family gives him a blessing, not restricted at all at this point. Mm-hmm. He goes back to the real world and the aftermath scene. How'd you guys like that?
I liked it. Ran back up to Coco and said, try to remember him because he was
Yeah.
disappearing. That was part of the if you're forgotten, you disappear, and that's the forever death.
Right.
And so he was getting close, and so he, in the end, played the song "Remember Me" because, come to find out, that's the song that he played for Coco, and he wrote it for her.
And they even it's kind of one of those things where the audience knows exactly what needs to happen, but it hasn't happened yet.
Which was sad because he was going to the forever death because Coco was forgetting him because she was passing on.
It's very sad.
So it was sad. I mean, it tugged at your heartstring there too.
So when Ernesto, the first time we hear "Remember Me," I want to say it was like a faster song, but
Yeah.
Hector's version that he sang to Coco was like a slower acoustic version.
Right.
Which I thought was really cool because Hector didn't want this song to be out to the public. He just wrote it specifically for Coco.
Right.
But when Ernesto killed Hector and made the song popular, he made it his own, or he made it the way that he wanted to do it, and that became famous in one way.
Right.
Which is also it kind of coincides with how the argument might be brought up that Coco would have heard this song, obviously, because it's so popular. But at the same time, it was never played the same that her dad did, so
Exactly.
it never had the same meaning.
Yep.
Go again.
So when Miguel plays this for Coco at the end, it kind of takes on a different meaning because she hears it for the way that she used to hear it, like 80 years ago?
Right.
From her actual dad.
Yeah.
And that's when she starts to liven up again and actually starts like speaking for the first time in years.
Pulls out a diary, has the ripped off picture of his face.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
This is the part where I heard a lot of sniffling
Yeah.
in the movie.
Anthony was sniffling.
You were sitting next to one.
Yeah.
That was rough. That was.
See, I'm not just a big macho guy saying this, but I don't cry like ever, and I don't like that about myself. I just don't. But like, especially when music is involved in emotional scenes, like I just get a whole bunch of like tingles throughout my entire body.
I was
you
getting
did
that-
in
I was
you did
getting
in
that too.
Moana. I was sitting next to you.
I was getting the emotional tingles for about like 30 seconds. Just keep like nonstop. It was awesome.
Well, for a movie that's so heavy with music and culture and heritage, like that moment in particular, when he's singing to Coco, the grandmother, great grandmother, it was perfect.
It was super moving, super
Yeah.
emotional.
One
It
of-
was awesome.
There's a lot of good Pixar emotional scenes, and that probably takes one of the best ones I've recently that comes to mind.
I think so too.
So we talked a little bit. We kind of talked about the overarching story here, but let's talk real quick about character growth. Let's start with Miguel. We know he goes from the overall theme here is about Miguel learns about how important family is, and that's pretty much what Day of the Dead's supposed to be all about. And he kind of forgets that, gets obsessed with his wants to be a music career, but overarching story for Miguel, I loved it. Guys, what'd you think?
Yep, I did too.
It was really good. Like I don't know what there is to say about this because
as far as,
I have
like-
nothing but good things to say.
I was gonna say, as far as Pixar lessons to be learned from a movie, I think family is probably one of the better ones to push.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
definitely.
even at the beginning where you're rooting for him, and then his whole family's against him, and you're like, oh, fuck them, dude, come on, you can do this.
But like even Finding Nemo didn't have like it was about finding finding member, but I get more of a family vibe from Coco than I do Finding Nemo or any other Pixar movie I could think of.
I don't know if
I would
I'd
have
go
to
that
think
far.
about that.
Like Credibles doesn't get that detailed into like it's
Incredibles is all about family.
yeah, but
Right.
not like to this level.
Well, in The Incredibles, they always stayed as a unit. In Coco, like he wants to branch out and be different than his family. He doesn't want to be like a shoemaker.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
He wants to do
Uh,
his own thing,
I
but
would
then
say that Incredibles does do that with the relationship between the mother and the father, with like
yeah, but that's
that
more,
she thinks there's like marital problems going on, and then she like because then she
nowhere
finds
serious as Coco though.
that's more of like him being retired, quote unquote, and him getting back into action.
Yeah,
yeah, but
but when you think of Coco, you think of what Miguel's connection to his family currently and his ancestors, and that's a big deal. Like especially with you're dealing with Day of the Dead themes and afterlife and future. Like I don't think any other Pixar film comes close. Like
Not Pixar, but Disney does Mulan with the ancestors.
that, I still would argue it's
Not to
nowhere-
this level.
Well, no,
not to
no,
this
no,
level.
no. You're right.
Yeah.
Not with the level, but
Sorry, that kind of went off on a tangent there.
No, it's
but
fine.
Hector was also very much about reputation / family, but it was definitely family oriented again.
Yeah, this is where it gets kind of weird because they want you to think Ernesto, right?
Hector,
No, the big guy.
Ernesto, yes.
Okay, they want you to think Ernesto is the dad.
right.
Right.
So like even at the beginning, like the beginning animation where it looks like it's like cut out, which is very cool. in
it
its own
is,
right.
and it doesn't look like his body from the picture. Like it doesn't look like little Hector's head.
No,
No.
it really doesn't. But like going into that, it makes you think that like he just left on for stardom. So is that exactly what Hector did to just follow Ernesto, and both of them left?
I think what I picked up was that Hector had planned on going back once. I
No,
don't-
yeah, no, all of that. Like when he plans on going back, but then gets poisoned. I get all that.
Yeah.
just at the beginning, like how he left his family to begin.
Oh,
with.
sure.
But it was early. I mean, if you remember from they were talking about like we're just getting big. Like this is, and you're wanting to leave.
So here's my. I think it's because Miguel's telling the story, and he's got a jaded view from his jaded family.
That's what I think. Like
Right.
just from generation to generation,
more
it gets
jaded.
worse and worse. Yeah,
Yes.
I think so
And-
too.
And then outside of Hector, it was good to see, classic villain twist, Ernesto go from this idol to a very dark, twisted individual who just wanted fame.
Yep.
Family progression. Family starts off being very anti-music, and then how they come back into music at the end of the movie was great. Just how they reintroduced that element back into their lives and how it was actually much needed for that family to be happy.
Yeah,
Because shoemaking was very much a boring tone to take for that family at the very beginning of the movie, wouldn't you argue?
yeah,
Yep.
but I feel like they're very successful at being shoemakers.
Right. I think they made a big business out of this.
Right, but from Miguel's perspective, like that seems like boring
Yep.
to him.
But I'm very curious about the end of this movie. Like, are they still shoemakers, or is it just because Hector is now the new Ernesto Are they going strictly towards music and they're just fucking over the shoemaking history that they've
Right.
spent hundreds of years doing?
Right.
I could say a balance of both, right?
I mean, I guess, but they just like totally put singing in the forefront.
I think the music's going to be Miguel's future, and I think the shoe company sticks around. Is the vibe I
mean,
get.
it's an 8-year-old telling those parents that because of what you're doing, it's boring.
Yeah.
Well, they're making money off that. This 8-year-old has no idea about money, and
Yeah, but do you think like a year later at the very epilogue, at the end of this movie, when he, do you think he's gonna like make a career out of singing, or do you think this is just like a hobby and keep it in the family?
I'm gonna say it's not like he's pursuing a musical career by the end of the movie.
Well, he is in like one of those
Mariachi?
Yeah, he's in one of those outfits.
So I think it's open to interpretation whether he goes literal with his music career or if it's like just a family thing at that point. Because the point could be made after Ernesto's big ordeal, fame may not be as important to him as just family and music and what music means to the family.
Sure.
I think that argument could be made. Mm-hmm. Real quick, favorite moments that you guys can recall from Coco? Any scenes that stuck out in particular to you guys, or maybe scenes that you didn't work for you guys? But I think there'll be a lot more favorites here.
I have a least favorite for sure. Like the whole movie in general was a positive. It's kind of hard for me to pick a favorite out of all of these. Like I really like the twist where the scene with the poison comes back. Like I really liked that a lot.
It was a good twist.
My favorite scene is probably Coco and Miguel singing.
yeah,
Sure.
Like, that was
that's
probably
the
my best,
That was
but-
what I was gonna say.
My favorite scene was when Miguel first takes the stage, the Day of the Dead world, and he's very nervous, but then that song he plays, it's actually very catchy and it ends up being really cool seeing the audience like cheer for him.
The part before that, where it's like a slideshow of everybody going before him,
Yeah.
that was my least favorite.
Oh, really?
Because that is pretty much what Sing does, and it just felt like a big ripoff of Sing.
Maybe.
Didn't like that part at all, just because my kid has seen Sing so many times.
You might be
so.
jaded on the sing.
I think so. I've got to Sing hate a little bit, Sing hatred. So when I just saw that, I'm just like, I don't like this. What's your favorite scene, Brent?
where he first touches the guitar, and then it's where he transfers into the undead realm.
Gotcha. One other little scene that I liked was this random guy that was in the hammock, where they get the guitar from the Day of the Dead world, and the song that's going on, and then the kid is present, so he doesn't say like tits are hanging down to the floor.
Yeah,
Just like very censored.
Yeah.
That part was just like a nice little added touch.
I like how much emphasis they put on the guitars too. So like Miguel's first guitar, which looks like he makes himself, it's made out of like nails for the frets.
Yeah.
And like that's amazing. And then like the guitar that he steals from Ernesto's grave, which ends up being his real dad's guitar. It's like this holy grail of guitars. And I don't know, it's just everything they did with the guitars was amazing to me.
It was cool. So I'll get into mine. My favorite, obviously, is going to be Coco at the end. But I also liked the great-grandma when she's trying to catch Miguel by running through, and then she starts singing. And she had a voice, too, and she liked to sing, but, you know, her husband leaving jaded her from liking singing, and come to find out she likes singing, too, and she was actually very good at it.
All right, if we're all good with our favorite moments, then let's go ahead and jump into our review section. And now we're going to go back into a spoiler-free section here. This is just going to be some general overthoughts for our review. But first, we're going to talk about box office numbers, it being the first weekend for Coco coming out. It pulled in $71 million for its opening weekend.
It's awesome.
Thanksgiving weekend, the 5-day weekend definitely helped it.
Definitely. As far as competition goes, it beat Justice League, which just is
Good.
Justice League's. It was to be expected. I don't think Justice League would have.
Was it, though?
I think so.
I feel like if it would have opened to like BVS numbers, it would have beat Coco, even on the second weekend.
See, I knew absolutely nothing about this, which surprised me. So I think that's really good because I didn't know anything about it.
Yep.
I didn't
Well,
see any advertisement for it.
I think $71 million for a Pixar film is probably mid-level for Pixar openings, which is still really good.
Yeah, it's still an original idea for a Pixar film, though.
yeah.
It's not a
'Cause
sequel. It's not anything like that. So that's really good for an original IP.
Oh, yeah, they still made money off
Considering like the last new IP, I think that came out. It's not the last one, but The Good Dinosaur like opened to like $40 million.
Yeah, that's because that was a turd, but
Yeah.
I like The Good Dinosaur.
All right, guys. That being said, it's time to give our 5-star review for Coco. All right, guys. Who would like to kick this off?
To me, this is definitely top tier Pixar. It's definitely top half.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
feel like we should do a list of top 10 Pixar movies because that would be very difficult. But
Yeah.
right now, this is top tier Pixar for sure. I think I'm going to rate this the highest rating I've ever rated anything. I think I'm going to go 4.5 out of 5. I really liked this. There isn't, besides like the Sing ripoff type of stuff, I don't think of this movie being bad in any sense of anything. Like, I love this movie a lot, and I don't really get emotional when I see movies, but this definitely like hit the heartstrings like real good.
So you're excited to watch this later again with your daughter.
I cannot wait to rewatch this movie. Definitely with animated movies, when you watch them tens of hundreds of times with a child, it gets repetitive. I'm excited to rewatch this movie. I really am. So, yeah, 4.5 out of 5. I'm doing it.
That's a good one. I'll jump in just to shake things up a little bit. I'm going to give it a 4. I really did like this one. I feel like that's high for me too, but really liked it. The storyline was good. Tugs at the heartstrings. I'm an animated nut. I liked it.
I really like this movie, and I guess I just have this tendency to, whenever I see kids' films with my nieces sometimes, and I try to feel like if I was a kid or a parent, what themes do they take away from a kid's film outside of enjoyment and just the overall movie-going experience? Coco does a really good job of themes that kids could learn from a movie if they do. And as far as visual entertainment and story progression goes, Coco hits all those plots perfectly. Theater experience goes, animation was great, music was great. So I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. And my only major complaint is I felt the first half was just a little slow, but some of the themes that you're introduced in the first half really come to full flourishing in the second half. I think it just took me a while to get into this movie, and I feel like that will be my feelings for the first half of this movie, no matter how many times I see it. Brent?
I'm going to agree with Jake. I'm going to give it 4.5, and that is thoroughly impressive to me because of how this experience, the whole experience for this movie went with how it started. I was livid. I wanted to walk out during the Olaf thing. I was so pissed. Mm-hmm. And then I'm glad I stayed because then I got to see this movie. And it was just phenomenal. Like, it pulls at your heartstrings, like just like Fox and the Hound does at the beginning with his mom. It goes to that level. It's thoroughly enjoying for an adult. It's not like most of the children's movies that I watch that are just hard to watch as an adult. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 4.5. It's just such a good movie.
All right, before we wrap up the review segment, I want to ask you guys this. How does this movie strike to you guys, putting aside Regency effect, other Pixar films?
It's tough for me. It's definitely top half, like I
I was
said.
going to say, you don't have to put it on the list right now. But for as general comparisons to other Pixar films, Jake, you said it's definitely in your upper half.
It's definitely on par to the Toy Story trilogy for me right now.
Yeah?
I really think so, and that's top tier Pixar.
That's high.
Brent, Anthony?
Yeah, it's up there for me too. I mean, I see this over like Cars. I'd see this over.
Well, sure.
Cars
is garbage.
I'd see this over Ratatouille. I'd see this over Good Dinosaur. I'm sorry, Jake.
Have you seen Good Dinosaur?
I have.
I liked it. It was fun.
Okay.
It was fun. It was okay. That's definitely bottom tier Pixar.
But I mean, it doesn't hit the Wall-E level. It doesn't hit the Finding Nemo. Let's save your comments. 'Cause I know you hate Finding Nemo.
Finding Nemo is good. Wall-E has a third act problem as well.
This didn't hit like Wall-E level to you?
I thought it did for sure.
Oh, man.
So yeah, I think we can have a whole Pixar discussion. I just want to
We need to.
I know, but that'll be another time. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with you guys. This is definitely going to be in the top half of my favorite Pixar films. From the most recent, I haven't seen a Pixar film in a while, but more recent ones.
This
Good.
seems so much different. Like, it kept the best parts about Pixar films, but then took a different direction, and it just paid off because it was fantastic.
So, a new thing that we're going to do on the podcast, we're going to have an accumulative Super Media All-Stars star rating with 2 4s and 2 4.5s. This equals to the best rated movie that we've seen with it. They both have 4.5 out of 5 combined.
Which I think is fair in their each genre respect. For animation and horror, which it is, I think they're the pedigree of what we expect from those films.
Definitely going into like the best of 2017 list that we will do.
Yeah.
I would say it is close to the best scary movie.
Yeah.
And Coco is probably the best animated movie.
For sure.
So that makes sense.
I'd
Yeah.
agree.
I totally agree with that.
I wouldn't even consider it to be a competition for best scary movie.
So that being said, if you agree with or interested in what we had to say, or if you've seen Coco already, maybe you agree. If you haven't, go check it out. It's a good one. I think it's definitely worth theater view.
I think it is too. This is one of the rare animated movies that you should see in theaters because it's that damn good.
Yeah, you'll appreciate it.
All right, let's go ahead and jump into the last portion of our show, and that is going to be a new twist on trivia. Brent was a busy man today. He didn't have time to gather his normal clips, so we're going to change it up. I'm going to be your trivia quiz master for the night.
What?
Can you bear with us?
No.
And it's going to be a team effort between Jake, Brent, and Anthony. And guess what, guys? It's all your hardest Pixar questions from courtesy of magicquiz.com. I reviewed these questions. There's some easy ones. There's some difficult ones. But you guys got to come to a decision and give me an answer. And I'll tell you if it's right or wrong.
I've never heard of this magicquiz.com, so I don't know how legitimate it is.
I chose the top 10 questions that we're going to go over. So you guys are going for a best score out of 10.
Bring it.
Let's start with number 1. What is the name of the scout in Up?
It's
The
little
old man is
boy.
Carl.
Oh, the main guy?
it's not Kevin.
The kid.
The
You
kid.
just said his name.
No, Kevin's the bird.
Kevin's the bird.
Okay.
It's Russell.
That's it.
Final answer?
Yes.
Ding, ding, ding is Russell.
So we're not even getting multiple choice on this bitch.
No.
Damn. Okay. I like this.
All right. In Monsters, Inc., what color is Boo's door?
Pink.
It's white with pink. Are you getting that detailed?
Or are you just wanting one color?
It's
Just-
white
just
with
color.
pink. Oh, okay.
I thought it was blue.
No,
No.
it's white with pink daisies on it.
So we're going with white?
It
I have
might be
no
pink
idea.
with white.
Let's go white with pink daisies. That sounds about right.
White with pink daisies. I bet it's pink with pink or pink with white daisies.
I say pink. He says white. What do you think, Brent?
I'll say pink. I have no idea, but I'll say pink.
Pink final answer?
Yep.
It was white with pink flowers.
I said I was okay with going with you.
All right, guys, you're 1 for 2.
Shut up.
Number 3. What is the name of the young human chef in Ratatouille?
Remy. No,
Yeah.
that's a rat.
That's the rat.
Yeah.
It's
Fuck.
Never seen it.
Fuck.
You've never seen Ratatouille?
Nope.
Ratatouille is my favorite Pixar movie.
Really?
Is it really?
I love Ratatouille so much,
let's see.
which is making me very
It's,
mad. Lumiere is like the big chef, like the guy who's who's
yeah,
dead.
Yeah.
Fuck. Who dead? Who died?
No, Gusto was the huge chef. I think.
Oh,
it's-
that's Gusto's.
yeah. No,
Shut up, John.
I didn't say anything.
Shut up.
Want me to give you a hint?
Yeah.
It's a play on Italian cuisine.
Oh, linguine or something
Oh.
like that. That's what linguine.
that's exactly what it is. It's
Is it like pasta primavera or something?
no.
no.
Why do you need his last name too?
That's
That's
you don't
mean.
need his last name.
All right, you can give me one word. I'll give you the point.
Isn't it linguine?
I think it's.
I'm gonna be so mad when you tell us.
I
what it
that
is.
sounds
His
right.
whole name is a play on words.
It is.
So yeah, it's what goes with linguine. It has to be a 2-part thing.
I don't know. It's definitely not pasta primavera.
It's Disney bad.
I
It's
bet
a-
it's linguine.
It's Italian. You
I
said
bet that's close.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I haven't watched it in a while.
I need a final answer, guys.
it's probably like something to spaghetti.
Spaghetti.
Good.
Popping out of the bushes. Spaghetti. Let's just do linguine.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Correct. Linguini is his last name. First name is Alfredo. So you're 2 out of 3, boys.
Good.
In Toy Story, what is Sid's bull terrier's name?
Spark or Spud?
Spud. Spud.
Good job,
That's
Brent.
really yeah.
Final answer.
Yeah.
Incorrect. What? Scud.
Come on.
So stupid.
Because the
That-
kid
Take my
can't
headphones
pronounce.
off. That's so stupid.
yeah, that's-
Sorry.
That's dumb.
That's what it is, though. I'm sorry. You can look it up if you need to.
Yeah, fuck you, John.
I didn't come up with the quiz.
It's Skidmark is his name.
You're 2 for 4 there, boys.
Pick these stupid ass questions.
What is the emotion Riley Anderson's character in Inside Out associates with broccoli?
Disgust.
Easy.
Yep.
Next.
Mindy.
Go.
Final answer?
It's the Mindy Project.
Yep, correct. Disgust.
You got any more brain busters?
That was a 3 out of 5 there. What kind of whale carries Marlin and Dory to Port Jackson in Finding Nemo?
Is it a
Wait,
humpback?
hold on. Say that one more time.
What kind of whale carries Marlin and Dory to Port Jackson in Finding
Oh
Nemo?
no, that's a shark.
It's Finding Nemo. It's the
not
first
Dory.
one. So it's a humpback whale.
That's a big ass whale. Are you sure?
Positive. That's the whale that they found.
Okay, if you're sure.
Final answer?
Mm-hmm.
Incorrect. It's a blue whale.
Didn't think that.
So
was
even
right.
bigger.
Yeah, it was a big whale.
Good. We're 3 for 6 right now.
I should have thought about that more.
All right.
Humpback whale? Why didn't I argue that?
You should have.
That'd be like gray.
3 out of 6 here.
God damn, I actually know.
Number
whales.
7. What power does Jack Jack have at the end of The Incredibles? Hang on, I should clarify. There's a term that you've seen in other movies.
It's like Inferno.
Well, Jack Jack has many things at the end of The Incredibles.
Uh-huh.
What do you call that?
I don't know.
If you give me a version of this word, I'll give it to you.
Why can't we just give
So-
you he has multiple powers?
So it's like you're ambidextrous, but it's with powers.
He's pretty much the ditto of the superhero world.
For the sake of
He's
Mirror mode. He's got like multiple powers. I don't fucking know.
I'll give it to you. Shape-shifting.
He's not a shapeshifter.
That's the technical power he's got at the end of The Incredibles.
I don't think that's ever said in The Incredibles. I think this magictest.com is bullshit.
that yeah, shape-shifting literally relates to the physical
Mystique does.
aspect, yes.
He does change, though.
Jack Jack ain't no
Right.
fucking Mystique.
But Mystique
bitch.
doesn't absorb their powers.
No, Mystique just turns into
Yeah.
different people physically.
Yeah, it's not like Mystique turns into Magneto and then
So
she starts
I
controlling
fight
metal.
that one.
Your quiz is wrong.
You can email
It's wrong.
magicquiz.com.
I'm not going to mention magicquiz.com ever again after this.
Scud. What the fuck?
What city aquarium is Dory's family being sent to in Finding Dory?
No idea.
Cincinnati.
Or Sydney. Is it Cincinnati?
So in Finding Dory.
Okay, you would know this. Okay, that's fine.
Cincinnati.
Final answer.
Yeah.
Cleveland.
You're a bitch, Anthony.
Cleveland.
Hey,
Cleveland.
You're in the
that's
right state.
right.
All right. This next one should be an easy one.
So what are we at right now?
I think you're like
3
4.
of 6.
You're 4 out of 8.
You don't even know.
I know. You're 4 out of 8.
I think.
Number 9. What is the caterpillar's name in A Bug's Life?
I haven't seen Bug's Life in a decade. I have no idea.
I talked about it earlier.
Yeah, we
Yeah, I
did.
know. We just know he's the fat ass caterpillar who has shitty wings. at
I'm
the
a
end.
beautiful butterfly.
Yeah.
Its name starts with an H.
Is that right?
It does start with an H.
Oh, Anthony. This is all you. I have no fucking
Oh,
idea.
but don't put it on me because I don't remember.
It's not Hank.
All on you.
Is it something simple?
Henry? Hungry.
I feel like it's.
Is it a German name?
I feel like it's something racist.
It's not racist.
Like Humphrey?
If this caterpillar has an accent, it definitely pertains to that accent.
He does actually have.
German.
Yeah. Oh.
I'm a beautiful
Butterfly.
butterfly.
If you're not gonna get it, you're not gonna get
Is it kind of like a play on words?
No.
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 It's just a German name that starts with H.
I already said Humphrey.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh.
We'll go
Is
Humphrey
it
for the final
Hans?
answer.
I don't know. I'm
Hans the butterfly.
That's fine.
That might be right.
who cares? Yeah,
Want to go with Hans?
Yeah.
Hans' final answer is Heimlich. Heimlich the caterpillar.
Okay. That's kind of play.
it is kind of a play on words. You're right.
He's not Heimliching anything. He is doubting everything.
I'm doubting myself right now.
All right, number 10. Final question. I never seen this movie, so forgive me if I butcher her name.
To get 5 out of 10.
These are supposed to be harder questions.
We're just stupid.
Yeah, fuck
What
off, John.
What clan does Merida belong to in Brave?
Oh man, I do know this one.
What did I say her name right?
Yeah. I hated Brave.
It's Merida.
Sorry. Sorry, never saw
If
it.
you could change a fate, would you? That's all I know. And then she turns into a bear. That movie's so stupid.
Try?
It takes the
Shoot,
butt.
I
to the
don't remember. I don't remember that. There's 3 different tribes.
Fuck you for picking Brave as a question.
Oh, there's 4 different tribes.
Yeah, there's a blue, a red, and another one. A white, I think.
No, there's a green.
Whatever.
The green was the dorky kid.
Well, I hate Brave.
Why'd we pick all the bad movies?
He didn't pick any Cars movies.
All right,
So they're
I
not
don't
bad.
know.
I'm gonna go with
Pokemon Red.
no. What are the 3 tribes associated with?
Bears.
Yes, thank you. Jesus, I never would have got that.
Grizzly.
I'm going to go humpback.
No.
Marty's growling.
Humpback, final answer.
Humpback bear.
Pear.
Dunbroach? Dunbroch? How do they pronounce that? Dunbroch.
This is officially the dumbest thing you've ever found.
This is why you're not Quizmaster.
No kidding. This sucks.
I think it just proves you guys a little
it was
rusty on your
bad.
Pixar.
No, we
No,
thought
this
after
is
last
bad.
week Brent had the worst quiz. This
No,
is the worst
this
quiz.
is bad.
Yeah.
That was actually, this is a quiz. That was a clip quiz. This
How
is
many
different.
of these would you have gotten?
Considering I don't watch too many Pixar movies, probably maybe 2. So I can't say any better. But
4.
Anthony, you're supposed to be a Pixar expert, man.
Yeah, I dropped the ball on.
We got 20% of these.
And Cleveland. The Cleveland. Like, make fun
And
of that in the
humpback
movie.
whale.
Okay.
You could have just described it to me and I could have told you what whale it was.
No, we got 40% of these. 4 out of 10, right?
Yeah, 4 out of 10.
We're awful.
So,
All right.
that being said, that was your Pixar quiz with the Super Media All-Stars.
A fucking failure.
And that has also been episode, what are we on now? 22 of Super Media All-Stars.
22.
We thank you for joining us. You can find us on all kinds of social media these days. You can find us on Facebook at Super Media All-Stars. You can find us on Twitter at SmashPod. You can find us on Instagram at Super Media All-Stars.
My Instagram, Steelbook Obsessed, just passed 600 followers.
Nice.
Dang.
So that's pretty good. I can't wait to add Coco to my Steelbook collection because that sucker's going to pop.
Yep.
I can just see it already.
Oh,
Look
yeah.
good.
Can't wait.
Be sure to listen to us all kinds of the Apple podcast services. Tend to be our biggest viewership there. But also check us out on Google Play Music if you're an Android user. If you're an internet radio fan, be sure to tune in. You can find us there. And then be sure to also check out our YouTube page. We post all our main content on YouTube, being our unboxings, our podcast. Jake recently started a Steelbook search video.
For sure. We're about to do another IGN box
Yes.
unboxing. So
Yep.
that should be pretty good.
Yeah, that one turned out really good. I'm excited to open that one up. Other than that, guys, I thank you for joining me. Audience, thanks for listening in. We'll see you next time.
Alfredo Linguini.
That's all, folks.
Spaghetti.
Game over, man. Game over.
Bye-bye.
I am out of here.